Alright y'all, Michael here.
And Noah.
We're here at the Fort Worth Stockyards here in Fort Worth, Texas, and we're just going to explore and have a good father and son day here during spring break in Texas. Come hang out with us. There is nothing like the fresh smell of horse manure in the morning. Better than a stout cup of coffee, don't you say, Noah?
Yeah, probably.
I was wondering if there was going to be very many people here. I said, well, you know what, it's spring break in Texas. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of people here. Not sure what happened, but this lady screamed on top of the Longhorn. The attentions to detail here. This is a Thurber Brick Company. They made the bricks on the sidewalk here in the stockyards. And the interesting thing about Thurber Brick is it's actually from Thurber, Texas. Thurber, Texas was a town between Fort Worth and Abilene. I'm not sure if it's still a town there or not. Need to look that up. But the Thurber Brick Company started in 1888. It was for paving roads that were for horse-drawn carriages and horses, period. Now in 1906, Congress Avenue in Austin, Texas was built, and they used the Thurber bricks there. In fact, they transported all that by train here. Folks, there's a lot of train tracks here. Every time you take a turn, you're going over the train track here. Fort Worth, Texas and the stockyards was the hub for cattle, believe it or not. Big cattle town here. Here we are. This is the actual livestock exchange. And there goes the Coors beer truck. And a little bit of Shiner too. So inside the stock exchange here, this is actually a live stock exchange. It says this historic office building is still in use. Respect each tenant's privacy. This business here is temporarily closed. It looks like they're doing some renovations here for the Superior Livestock Auction Company here. We were wanting to stop at the museum here, but it looks like it's closed today. Can't beat the price there, $2 per person. Wouldn't mind going in there, though.
Welcome to the Fort Worth Stockyards National Historic District on this beautiful, beautiful March morning. Windy, but it's going to be 70 today. It's going to be a gorgeous, beautiful day. In fact, I think the next several days is going to be just absolutely beautiful. Now, we got a cattle drive coming down. I want to tell you about it. First, I have to do a little safety thing here. For your safety, we ask that everybody be standing. If you can't or don't want to stand, you can sit on one of the park benches provided. Sit on the back wall, back here on the gate. We got about 15 head of beautiful, gorgeous Longhorn cattle coming down. And they weigh about 1,500 pounds each, with about a 6-foot spread on their horns tip to tip. But we have one that weighs 2,200 pounds, and we have another one with about a nearly 9-foot spread on his horns. This is Jose right here. He's one of our vaqueros. Now, if you did not know it, you are in a national historical district. And there's many reasons why. One of the main ones is that this was one of the largest stockyards in the world when it was operational until about 1971, 72. But before this was a stockyards, this was a halfway stopping point on the largest migration of domesticated livestock in the history of the United States. Texas was a participant in the war between the states, the Civil War, from 1861 to 65. One of its responsibilities was to provide beef for Confederate troops east of the Mississippi River, and the only way they could do that was to drive the cattle to Galveston, Texas. It's a port city in the Houston area. Put them on a livestock ship and go around the Mississippi River, where they would be offloaded and then driven further east. Well, they couldn't do that. The United States Navy put a blockade on the ports of Galveston and New Orleans. So the cattle in Texas were bottled up from 1861 to 65. Now, when the war came to an end, there were literally more cattle in Texas than there were people. Estimates range anywhere from 4 million to 6 million head of cattle in Texas in 1866. Simultaneous to that, there was a beef shortage in the United States and the rest of the country, and the demand for beef was high. A lot of people wanted to get back to normalcy. A gentleman by the name of Joseph McCoy, who owned and operated a stockyards in Abilene, Kansas, sent the word down to San Antonio, Texas, for the ranchers down in South Texas to bring their cattle up, and they will pay you handsomely for the cattle. Now, if you tried to sell Longhorn in Texas, on a good day, you would get about $2 a head. However, if you could get them up to Kansas, you might get as much as $40 a head. So the ranchers down in South Texas use contract labor called drovers. You call them cowboys. A typical cowboy would be anywhere from as young as 11 to 14 years of age. You would have about 30% of them would be Mexican vaquero or African American. A good number of them spoke German and Czech because in the 1840s, large numbers of Germans and Czechs immigrated to Texas and settled down in what we today call Central Texas or the Texas Hill Country. You also would have ladies, Margaret Borland, and she wasn't the only one who drove herds of cattle up. She has an interesting story. You can find her on, you can look her up on Google. And also you had Native American cowboys. These are some things you didn't see in your typical Westerns that were on TV or at the movies. Just kind of fill you in on that. A typical cattle drive would be anywhere from 1,500 to 3,000 head of longhorn cattle. You would have 10 to 15 drovers or cowboys on a cattle drive. The pay was $1 a day, and a typical cattle drive was 90 days. Sometimes, depending on climate conditions or weather, it could extend out to 120 days. Don't know if they got paid for the extra days, but they did pay them for the 90 days for sure. Accompanying the cattle drive would be a chuck wagon. That's where all the equipment was carried. That's also where their meals were prepared. The person in charge was called Cookie. He was the chef, the barber, the doctor, the father figure, and unfortunately sometimes the undertaker. Typical problems for drovers was not knowing how to swim, and there were many rivers in Texas that had to be crossed, and sometimes they would be swollen with water after storms. Cattle drive season started in the spring, which is the wet season in Texas, so those rivers would be full. Hopefully you had a good horse that you could hang on to when crossing those streams. Another problem for drovers were something called lightning strikes. When they would get struck by lightning, they were the tallest thing out on the plain. And then also you had stampedes. Stampedes is when the cattle panic and they run. And the cowboys would have to get out ahead of the stampede to do what was called milling, or try to get the herd to turn back on itself to stop. Now, boys and girls, we don't expect that to happen. Our drovers here are professional. They're the real deal, the real thing. But I will tell you this, our cattle are not on Benadryl or Xanax. All right, and I already gave you the specifications on what you're going to see today, right? 1,500 pounds, 6-foot spread, 2,200 pounds, almost 9-foot spread. So we want you to be safe and enjoy. When you video this, put it on your social. Call this a cattle drive demonstration, not a parade or running of the bulls. We don't encourage running of the bulls out here. That's what we call a stampede. We got a gunfight immediately afterwards. The gunfight is in the Stockyard Station, which is right over here. We've also got guided walking tours going out today at 12:30 and 2. You sign up for that at the world famous maze, featured on the Amazing Race in 2004. Go get lost in the maze. And we've got, you can see there's all kinds of stuff. This is spring break after all. We've got all kinds of activities to interest you today. You will, all the restaurants are open. All the food here is good. I got a tip here. I'm going to tell you my favorite restaurant. Y'all ready for this? My favorite restaurant is all of them. We also got the steers over here. Is that you, Reed? Reed, if you got $5 to get on the steer and have your picture taken, what special you got today? You got a spring break special for us? Free to get on, boys and girls. $5 to get down. So go see Reed. Now, is Jose down at the other end? All right. Hey, guys, thanks for coming out today. Appreciate you very much. Enjoy. We're going to do this again at 4 p.m. World's only twice daily cattle drive, 362 days a year. See you at 4 for the other half of it. Thank you.
This is the shops and dining area. Imagine this is where they loaded the cattle up back in the day. Get the rail tracks going right through it here. Kind of curious if they've actually pulled a train in here in recent years. Well, we're kind of following the crowds here, and I think I heard they're going to have a shootout down here.
Shoot, I'm so sorry. Shoot. Go. All right. Howdy, everybody. Oh, come on now. We're in the best country in the world and the best state in that country. And a cowboy just said howdy. Howdy. That's a lot better. We are the Legends of Texas.
Same group.
For a second there, I thought you heard of us. Well, we've been brought to you by all these amazing stores all around you. So when you're done being entertained, head off in there and find something you didn't know you couldn't live without. And if you can't find something you didn't know you couldn't live without, Chief Records got cheap beer. Just saying. There's your right hand. Roll down your booger picking finger and stick it in your ear. Now do the same thing with this hand. Yeah. All right, it's gonna get loud in here. Fire in the hole. Oh!
Mark,
What?
we're about to have a gunfight.
What?
So, repeat after me.
Repeat after me.
When the shooting starts,
When the shooting starts,
I want you to take that shotgun and bring up the rear.
take the shotgun and bring up the rear.
That's what I said.
I can do that.
Let's hope so. All right, fellas. You've had time to think about things, so what's it gonna be?
He ain't give us much of a choice, Marshal.
I don't reckon we're going to give you much of a chance.
Oh!
Hey, Marshal.
What?
That one there kicked the bucket.
You don't say.
Yeah.
Have you lost your ever-loving mind?
Why? I was just doing what you told me to.
Which is?
When the shooting starts, take the shotgun and bring up the rear.
That's what I said, all right.
Well, your rear came about that far off the ground.
You want to hear something funnier?
What's that?
Let me get my hands on you. They won't recognize you. Come here. Thank you, folks. We're the Legends of Texas.
We got plenty of barbecue chains out here, and this is Rixie's. Rixie's is pretty darn tasty. The barbecue sauce is a bit different, and it took me a little while to figure out what it was. And I believe they add cinnamon to their barbecue sauce, so it's their signature sauce. Every place has their own style sauce out here, so you gotta try them all. Last time I was here, and I wasn't at the Stockyards location, I believe it was near downtown. We had all-you-can-eat beef ribs for $14.99. When you're talking beef ribs, a lot of people are used to the pork ribs, about that long. Beef ribs, show us how long. Big ribs. And they bring you one or two at a time, and you'll fill yourself up pretty quick. But $14.99, it's not too much to gamble. No, it is enamored by this car here. This little Cadillac has a few painted rust spots, but it's the quintessential cattleman's Cadillac.
What year do you think that is?
Convertible at that. You probably heard of King Ranch. King Ranch is one of the largest ranches in Texas. It is an actual ranch, established in 1853, but they have a little bit of everything, including the King Ranch version of the Ford pickup. If you recognize that symbol. The Fort Worth fire trucks are not red, they are white and blue. I think they got a pink one in their fleet. We're going to check out the Ariat store. In fact, Noah and I both enjoy our Ariats. Ariat. Alright. In case you ever want to know what the Ariat store looks like in the Fort Worth Stockyards. You can even get a dog leash and collar with Ariat on there. Yeah, a little sweater for the dog. Man, there was some stuff in there I wanted. Can't afford it though. Gotta watch the budget. So we learned today the cattlemen and the vaqueros, the cowboys, they were known as drovers. Those were the people that drove the cattle through town and across the nation. And there you got your neon cowboy. Whoosh! Rawhide! Just roping in the cattle here. It's actually a new one. Created by A. Munoz, 2021. Well, hello, Wilbur. That statue is actually right across, or right in the middle of the street here, of the Hotel Drover. Passing by this place called Second Rodeo. It's a brewery with live music and food. All welcome, including your kiddos, your furry kiddos, your crazy uncle, buckle bunnies, real life cowboys, Aunt Stacy, Grandma, and Pawpaw. And especially bachelorette parties. Good food, questionable people, and a backyard. And there, my friends, is the Fort Worth Coliseum. That's where they have the rodeo. That would be the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo. It's the home of the Texas Cowboy Hall of Fame. And oh my goodness, this smells so good. This is Frisky's Steakhouse. That's a lot of beef up there. So there's one reason why we came down here. One main reason. I mean, this is a pretty awesome place, I gotta say. But one reason that we truly came down here. And what is that?
John Wayne Experience.
So you actually come in here through this door right here. It's right across the street from the Coliseum. So the Coliseum's right over there. So right here in front of the store is one of the most famous taxidermied animals ever. And if you ever grew up watching Westerns, you've seen this particular animal. I guarantee it. You might think I'm talking about Bullet, the Wonder Dog. Bullet here was born in 1949. But the most famous animal here is Roy Rogers' own Trigger. This is actually Trigger taxidermy, the actual horse for Roy Rogers. You see on the stirrup here, the RR for Roy Rogers. Probably the most famous horse out there, at least with Western lore. They called him the smartest horse in the movies. He's born in 1932 and died in 1965. I've actually seen film where Roy Rogers would ride Trigger into the children's hospitals, right down the hospital hall and to some of the hospital rooms. Very famous horse, very well known, and it's very cool to see him here. This is my friend Susie here. So this place has been here how long?
Since December 4, 2020.
Okay, and we just saw Trigger.
Indeed.
The original Trigger.
Yes.
And he's here, and y'all are here permanently.
Yes, sir.
So definitely worth coming out here. This is a permanent installation. What is the address for this place?
2501 Rodeo Plaza Drive.
There you go. So come check it out, and come say hi to my friend Susie here.
Hi.
So you walk in here. Here's a young John Wayne. They got a little film here for you.
Independence was so exceptional that Soviet leader Joseph Stalin hatched a plot to assassinate him, and his successor Nikita Khrushchev insisted on meeting with him during his first visit to the United States at the height of the Cold War. Tall and ruggedly handsome, John Wayne reflected the United States so well on screen because he was a product of it. He had a humble, hard-scrabble upbringing.
I like how they worded everything here. Becoming John Wayne. John Wayne was never born. He was created. His formation began in 1907. By the way, if you didn't know, his real name was Marion Mitchell Morrison. He was born in the back bedroom of an 860 square foot family home, weighing a whopping 13 pounds. That was one big baby. And they have a lot of rare documentation here. There's his graduation from elementary school in California. And they got his high school yearbook here, and apparently he played the position of guard. And he's 170 pounds, and I guess that was one of the positions back in the 1920s. There's his old football right there. Very impressive.
So he was a lineman.
He's a lineman?
Yeah, it doesn't specify which side he was on. There's a tackle and then guard from left to right. Tackle, guard, center, guard, and tackle. So he could have either played either side of the center. So he was a lineman.
Wow. And here's a telegram from Western Union, but they called it a mailgram. This is different. It's from Sugar Ray Robertson. Dear Duke, keep punching. You always be our champion. Sugar Ray and Millie Robertson. This one's from Sidney Poitier. This one up here. Skip and Henry Hathaway. Over here it's from Denver Pyle. You may remember him as Uncle Jesse. I believe that's who he is. One from J.L. Warner. And a little birthday greetings from Gene Autry. I never knew he was on the cover of Cosmopolitan. November 1954. John Wayne, the $10 million cowboy. And he was on the Lucy Show. Final draft, August 28, 1966. Property of Desilu Productions.
I'm John Wayne.
I know you are. It's nice meeting you, Mr. Wayne.
More telegrams. Red Skelton, Carol Burnett, and Jerry Lewis. And there's a letter from Merv Griffin. Oh, keep your distance, Pilgrim. Hey, this room is pretty amazing. Just having some live scenes from here. For movie scenes, including Rooster Cockburn. And here's a Marine helmet
crippled for life.
That John Wayne wore as Sergeant John
He presented
M.
his
Stryker.
military characters as teachers that would help their men get
In that
through
movie,
the toughest
Sands of
ordeals
Iwo
alive,
Jima.
while not losing their personal honor.
And sand from Iwo Jima was actually given to John Wayne. Here are copies of John Wayne's scripts for several movies here. This one's True Grit. The Shooters. The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. And The Alamo. Looks like John Wayne was a coffee drinker. My man. And my bet is he drank it black. No cream and sugar, black. As coffee should be. And here's a neat piece of Hollywood history. Rooster Cockburn's eye patch. Now the film quality wasn't as sharp as it is now, so you'll see that there's a little mesh right there. So he could see right through that. So he was looking with both eyes when he was acting. Otherwise, it'd be kind of annoying to be working with one eye all the time. I'd be running into everything. But yeah, you can see right through that. And here it is. John Wayne's Academy Award. Best Actor for True Grit, 1969. Which he played Rooster Cogburn. And this award was given to him by Barbara Streisand in 1970. They have all the costumes that he wore through his acting career. John Wayne was not a small guy. You'll know a lot of actors will be a lot shorter than you really thought they were. But not John Wayne. John Wayne was 6'4". Of Quite a tall guy. So John Wayne did have a ranch. It's called the 26 Bar. And check out this shirt. It's made out of suede leather. And he actually wore this on the ranch often. A tough piece of material there. For a tough guy. And Noah was just telling me that his ranch was actually 26,000 acres. What I could do with property like that. So the question is, what would the most famous movie cowboy drive? What do you think he drove? Ladies and gentlemen, this is John Wayne's custom, George Bear's custom 1976 Pontiac Grand Safari. And it's got a lot of little dents and dings on it because he drove this thing all over his property. It's 26,000 acres. He'd love to give his friends rides around in it. Now, John Wayne, as I mentioned earlier, was not a short man. So George Bears, when he customized this, you could see the original height of the station wagon and then it pushed up here. At 6'4", he just wanted to slide in and slide out. It's like anybody would in any vehicle. But being a tall guy, he needed a little extra headroom. And he had quite the family. Lots of grandchildren. There's John Wayne's address book. Good grief, I'd love to look into that. Imagine how many people are in there. This is not the one he wore, but if you look at every Western, he's wearing this particular belt buckle. Like I said, it's not the very one. The very one was actually at a Disney ride on the John Wayne animatronic they had. And they had his original belt buckle that he wore in all those movies on that. Somebody finally figured it out and found out that that was actually John Wayne's. So it was stolen in 1981, unfortunately. But it was a great movie ride. And Disney, Hollywood, MGM Studios, whatever you want to call it, in Florida. So John Wayne has actually had several awards. Got the Green Beret Award there, 1968. He got one from the U.S. Marines. And here's the Medal of Freedom awarded to him in 1980 by President Carter. And this is a very cool story. This is the Congressional Gold Medal awarded to him in 1980. And on it, it just says, John Wayne, American. This was a minesweeper that was converted for John Wayne, and this was his yacht. Built in 1942. How cool is that? There's actually a mural with him, the boat behind him. Oh my, this is cool. Lots and lots of hats. Let me know down in the comments if you recognize any of these. It's actually got patrol badges here. One from Davidson County Sheriff's Department, deputy's badge there. And one from the Arizona Highway Patrol. It'd be like to sit in that chair on the set of the Alamo. He was quite the man. We need more people like John Wayne. Noah, where did we end up?
I don't know how to pronounce the name, but I can spell it. How do you say it?
This place is Risky's Barbecue, which is Fort Worth staple. And Noah cannot stop talking about wanting to get the all-you-can-eat beef ribs. So, guess what we're gonna have?
Sandwiches. No, beef ribs.
What are we having, Noah?
Beef ribs.
Beef ribs. Ribby beef. Little tiny ones, right?
Yeah, small ones. Very, very small. Very, very small.
Okay, so this is what we're dealing with, beef ribs. Noah's head for size reference right here. Okay. And the sauce is gluten-free. I did have to ask him. And hopefully the beans too, so. But this is all you can eat. It's around 15 bucks. That's some good meat there. vanquished that. So Noah cleaned up his bones a little bit more than I did. Here goes round 2. I don't know, something about that char right there, that burn in, this is absolutely delicious. Okay, I powered through 8 of them. I'm tapping out. I am tapping out. Noah, I pushed him. Do I need to have some bags in the car? Dude, you're not going to upchuck on the way, are you?
Just a button. So,
are you hungry? Where else are you going to go eat?
Think about food.
Well, thanks for hanging out with us. I know I filmed an intro, or an outro rather. I did film the intro, save that. The outro has disappeared. I don't know where it went. Maybe up in the Ethereum somewhere. I don't know. We had a lot of fun. We got to experience the Fort Worth Stock Show, not Stock Show, sorry, the Fort Worth Stockyards. The Fort Worth Stock Show is something different, and they have a big stock show and rodeo every year, so definitely need to experience that as well. But we went out to the stockyards, got to see the horse-drawn carriages everywhere, and the longhorn cattle being driven up and down the street there by drovers. And learned a new term this time around. Had some good barbecue. My goodness, that was some good beef ribs at Risky's Barbecue. You got to do that at least once in your life if you're a meat eater. I've done it twice now, and that's because my son Noah had not experienced that, so he got to experience that for the first time this time around. John Wayne experience, definitely recommend it, especially if you're a Western fan or love John Wayne movies, period. And it was really a treat to see Trigger in person. Roy Rogers. I didn't know that Roy Rogers' horse was in Fort Worth, and until I saw another YouTuber point it out. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm having fun doing it. But for now, y'all take care. Be safe. Noah is enamored by this car here. It's got a few painted rust. It's got a few painted rust. Noah is enamored by this caddy here. It's got a few painted rust. Can't even talk. Well, thanks for hanging out with us. I know I filmed an intro. I don't know where it, or come on.